to Monday, September 16th, and we are back at it again. And joining Felix and I today, we are pleased to welcome back to the program the Justice Warriors. That's right, folks. It's Ben Clarkson and Matt Boris, authors of the comic book many people are proclaiming to be a masterpiece of documentary cartooning. It's the Justice Warriors, Ben Clarkson, Matt Boris, joining Felix and I today to talk about, another hell of a week in the presidential election. Ben and I were just talking before we started recording, and I think it's safe to say this presidential election, it's back, baby. After months of lead up of what I was assuming was going to be one of the most boring and dispiriting spectacles in American history, just new amazing things are happening every week, and just at the top of the list, a second assassination attempt on former President Donald J. Trump. And I don't know, like at this point, if another couple attempts on his life, I think he should get a free lunch at the Langley cafeteria when his card gets punched that many times. But man, oh man, before we talk about the specifics of this, rather shabby assassination attempt, the Caddy-Shook of assassination attempt. I'm all right. Don't nobody worry about me. But before we get there, I just, Felix, you were writing a little earlier this week before this latest assassination attempt, and you said something that I think really crystallized this election season, which is could you try to describe when you consider the arc that Donald Trump's life and career has taken over just the last 9 weeks of where he was 9 weeks ago to where he is now. It puts things into stark focus.
I was thinking, we were talking about this before. Another hilarious attempt on his life, but okay, so you're Donald Trump. You are president for 4 years. In that 4 years, you were so despised that it galvanized his culture in a way that, frankly, has never really happened before. Where literally the focus of everything from the Academy Awards to the biggest sports events of the year, it's all kind of about how much everyone fucking hates you, more or less, to the point that even your allies are okay, we get it, everyone thinks he sucks, real original, culminating in one of the most farcical events in modern American histories, where your supporters storm the Capitol, fart on Nancy Pelosi's desk, and die. This is so grave of an action. Everyone who already hates you is well, you can't have Facebook anymore, and you're I'm sorry, and they're not good enough, dumbass, and they kick you off. So in the wilderness, the guy who beat you, the oldest and most shambolic man who has ever achieved the presidency, eventually people hate him, and they really fucking hate him, and they might even hate him more than they hated you, which is astounding to think about. But right about the time he pulls out of Afghanistan, something strange happens, something that really has never happened to you in your entire life, either as a celebrity or a politician. It becomes kind of cool to like you. That the cultural forces are aligning in such a way that there is sort of a vague anti-establishment quality to supporting you and not supporting Joe Biden, to the point that when you go on let's say DJ Academics' Twitter or Instagram page, and it's a story vaguely related to politics, there are just tons of people who you are not paying, just totally organically are I want Trump back. Trump was cool. This guy sucks. You are achieving a level of cultural acceptance that you could only dream about when you were president. And, you cruise through the nomination. Your only resistance is Ron DeSantis and Nikki Haley. It only makes you look better. You achieve the nomination. Could things get any better? Well, apparently, yeah, because your opponent says "Havudabuba," and his eyes fall out during the debate. And is that not good enough? you survive an assassination attempt like Ronnie. You're like, Ron, oh my God, you got up, you did the fist, it looked amazing. You're probably going to win the fucking popular vote. Oh my God. But no, this is the beginning of the end. When you nearly get your head blown off, this is when a fever breaks. And everyone in the country sort of goes at the same time, wait a minute, we hate this guy. And furthermore, getting assassinated, getting nearly killed, yeah, that sounds like the sort of annoying thing you would do. That's the sort of annoying shit you're always up to. It is your sort of hollow cultural popularity. It begins to unravel. You're the most perfect opponent you could have ever imagined. Democrats panicked so much in the wake of this assassination attempt that mostly just annoyed everyone that they are scared into a baseline of competence, which is terribly enough to kind of beat you. And now everyone's back to hating you. Every time someone tries to stick up for you in DJ Academics' Instagram comments, they get screamed at like it's 2017 again. And now you almost get killed again. Long after everyone has forgotten the date of the first assassination attempt. Even your supporters are like, everything changed the day they almost killed. What was that, like a year ago?
It never crystallized into a month and a number.
Yeah, never. They're like,
that thing that happened.
I remember when that was 3 years ago. Wait, was he president? This attempt, even more hilarious. Everyone loves the man with music in his heart and a twinkle in his eyes, who made a very stupid attempt to try to kill you. But you just know this one's going to do nothing. You're going to complain about it. You're going to go, why does this keep happening? But everyone is mostly like, yeah, you're the annoying guy. Of course, the annoying thing happens to you. You're a big drama queen.
Did someone not kill him already? What, he's still alive?
I'm just stuck on this image that I keep coming back to. Also, it's great to be on, guys. We love you. Hi. What tricked him? Yeah, we got a John Hinckley shirt in the video on Matt.
He's one of my favorite folk artists that I follow on Twitter.
One of my favorite guys on film Twitter too.
Yeah, I don't know what else he's done, but I like his work.
John Hinckley, by failing to date a 13-year-old, that would actually elevate him to being one of the most moral neo-folk artists.
Yeah, the thing that gave away the shooter was that the rifle and the scope like came through the fence, and I just keep getting stuck on like a Looney Tunes slide whistle of the rifle coming out.
The Secret Service should have gone up and like bent it back around on them. Got him.
But like again, like, and we talked about this last week. I think almost the before the second assassination attempt, I think like the perfect capstone to this incredible, just like cycle of events for Donald Trump, going from like almost his assured reconquista of the United States government.
Everyone was so sure. Everyone was so sure. Oh, he's going to win the election now. Yeah. And now he's just eating shit over and over again.
Dude, random like MAGA people were just replying to like Jeff Tiedrick on Twitter and like, you have 6 months. We're going to kill you, man.
When the first assassination attempt happened, like that evening, I was like, it's over. Trump is going to win. There's the obvious post-assassination poll bounces coming from this. There was the photo. And then after like 24, 48 hours, everyone was just like, nobody gave a shit. Everybody, the biggest result, the biggest consequence of Trump getting shot at is that Tenacious D's tour was canceled by Jack Black. And Kyle lost out on a
assured reconquest of government to the opponent that he was planning to run against drops out and is replaced by, as Felix said, a party acting with a modicum of self-preservation and basic competence. And then this culminates not so much with his disastrous performance at the debate last week, but to me, the perfect capstone to it was him being romantically linked to one of the most busted women on the planet.
Oh,
my
yeah. I forgot about that. Literally, before the assassination attempt, it's like everyone's like, ooh, is he fucking Alana Haba? Hanna Barbera? Is he, will Donald Trump knock up Taylor Swift after he wins the popular vote this time? He was back on the sexual marketplace. Yet after he is nearly killed, when everyone's reminded of how much they hate him, it reminds me of when the cruel thing that high schoolers do, where you just randomly pick out like the two grossest kids in class, and you're like, yeah, they're fucking. Except it's really maybe happening. He really may be getting loomered on a daily basis.
And
he saw
Felix,
the face of death and he liked it.
Well, Felix, like, okay, when these rumors, I mean, because I was thinking back to that article we did about a reading series we did about like Laura Loomer, where she's like desperately cajoling this reporter to be like, oh no, Donald Trump's really my friend. He has my phone number. Look, I'll call him right now. And once again, I have to give credit to Loomer for like, if you will it, it is no dream. She manifested this. And like, look, I thought, like you said, Felix, I thought this was just like a mean girl thing people were doing to be like, ha ha ha, isn't it funny to imagine Trump having sex with this gargoyle? But then his response to it, I was like, wait a second, is it like, I think this might be real.
What did he say?
He said, Laura has been a supporter of mine, just like a lot of people are supporters, and she's been a supporter of mine. She speaks very positively of the campaign.
She speaks very positively of the campaign. I'm not sure why you asked that question, but Laura is a supporter. I don't control Laura. Laura has to say what she wants. She's a free spirit. Well, I don't know. I mean, look, I can't tell Laura what to do. Laura's a supporter. I have a lot of supporters, but I don't know what exactly you're referring to.
Laura says what she wants. She's a free spirit.
Dude, she's a free spirit.
She's a free spirit
she's a free spirit is exactly
summer fling.
It's exactly what a guy like that who is embarrassed to be fucking a specific person says when it happens. When you're like a big rich guy and you're fucking like the weirdest person in the world, you're like, hey, she's a free spirit.
She brings a spirit to us that a lot of people have. We have very spirited people. And that's when I was like, okay, there's a more than likely chance that this is real. And look, take it with a grain of salt because of the source. But when it comes to catty gossip like this in the conservative media sphere, I believe Milo. And Milo says that Laura's been telling every one of her friends that she's been slobbing him off and giving him, quote, in his words, the best blowjob I've ever got in my life.
That's what made it real to me. That's what made it real, because it's like, again, look, not to be gross, but
this whole thing is very gross.
Yeah. I mean, it is literally one of the most disgusting things ever, and I actually attribute a lot of recent weight loss to this event. But regardless of that, not to be gross, but okay. A person like Loomer, let's be generous and not say what that means. Their redeeming qualities this is not me saying, I would never say this. The redeeming qualities in the eyes of someone like Donald Trump would be, well, she gives great sloppy top, even though she looks bizarre.
You don't have to look at her
that.
while she's giving you sloppy top. He can be imagining the popular vote while he does it.
Yeah. That's a good question. What do you think he does imagine?
Like, well, up until yesterday, I would say his golf game, but he's not going to be thinking of that shit. And when this happened, because like, the thing is, like, as far as targets for assassination goes, he presents one of the softest of any major world leader because he loves being in public and he loves being outside playing golf on these, huge open golf courses. And I'm just thinking, if the Secret Service is like, Mr. Trump, you can't play golf anymore, he may just die, because I think golf is really the only thing in his life that gives him pleasure. And to have that taken from him, or the fact that like every time he's teeing off, he's looking down the fairway and just looking for the glint of a fucking telescope or something like that, it makes me sad for him. But I do want to talk about There is this huge Olivia Nuzzi profile of Donald Trump that was written once again before this latest assassination attempt, but after the first one. And it's about like, has this changed him? Has this not changed him? This is it's called like the afterlife of
8,000 words.
Yeah, it's there's so much in there. But I just want to talk about this one thing that I think a lot of people have shared. But like this speaks to like, if you want to believe that this assassination attempt has rattled him, that he has lost something ineffable as a result of this, and maybe as a result of this second one, I point to this example. Olivia Nuzzi writes, I asked him about an early nickname for Harris, Lion Kamala. It was the same one he used before, most insistently against Ted Cruz, or Lion Ted, during the 2016 primary cycle. It worked with the Texas senator because it had the benefit of both seeming and being true. I didn't get a chance to formulate a question about why he would recycle material so closely associated with another politician before Trump interjected with a prideful bulletin. Well, I have a name. You saw the new name? I had not seen it. Kamabla, he said. His communications director, Stephen Chung, who had said almost nothing for 57 minutes, piped up to say it too. Kamabla. Trump nodded. He gave me an expectant look, but I was confused. He repeated again. Kamabla. What did it mean? Just a mixed up pile of words. Like she is, Trump said. I tried to pronounce it myself. Kamabla? I was still struggling. She is. Trump stopped what he was saying and stared at me with a look of grave concern and disappointment. Well, he said, you have to see it to really understand. This was perhaps a nickname meant for cyberbullying, not for conversation. There are those that think it's good, he said a bit uneasily. He nodded in Chung's direction.
Hello, is this on? This is my best material.
Oh my
Laura
God.
Loomer loves it.
You like it, he said. It's a good troll, Chung said. I asked Trump if he had come up with this one. He laughed a deflated kind of laugh, as if to minimize the importance of the answer. Yeah, he said, I come up with a lot of things. The name was soon retired.
That is just not the mark of a confident performer.
No, it's not.
No,
That
he lost
is-
the
Oh, boy.
juice. Laughing Kamala.
That is so sad how he, like, the moment he says it, and of course, like, I have never heard of this Chung, is that the guy's name?
Stephen
This
Chung,
bastard. Yeah, Stephen Chung. I've never heard of him. Laura Loomer, let's just take any romantic relationship out of it. She has taken over the Hope Hicks role on the campaign, which I said marks the degeneration of Trump world. Like everyone, it used to be everyone on Trump world, you would go, these are like the weirdest people mixed with some, GOP politics, old faithfuls. But the people who are too internet, he's keeping them on the fringes. They're not really working for the campaign. Now it's all internet people. And this Chung guy is just, he got there because no one else would do this job of telling Trump that Kamabla is awesome. Like, it is pathetic.
Yeah, I agree with you like 100%, Felix. This campaign, I feel like, is the deflated balloon version of 2016. It's like when you deflate a bouncy castle and it looks like a Cronenberg version of itself. This is the Cronenberg election.
Yeah,
Hope Hicks becomes Laura Loomer. I'm sorry, that's like a 6-point drop.
Laura Loomer is like the product of generations of a controlled breeding program by 4chan to produce the conservative Kwisatz Haderach, which is probably coming next year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
January 6th.
Big things coming. Big
New
things
date.
coming.
Due date.
Yeah.
It just like, okay,
Little Loomer.
like the dogs and cats thing is sort of like the perfect example, because this is like something you would see on the internet side of the Trump but not the Trump campaign. Like Trump online surrogates would do this in 2016,
Yeah.
right? And like maybe Trump would say one thing at a rally where it's sort of like oblique, and it's like
I've heard them saying they're eating the cats. I don't know if it's true.
Not even that. It would be like not even that. He would say something like, "Remember Beethoven? Couldn't have him nowadays. You know why?" and then like it would become like a whole mini news cycle where the libs are like, oh, he said the Beethoven thing. He's referencing this famous right-wing meme, and then no one knows what they're talking about, so they look crazy, even if they're right. And it overall, advantages him, and he doesn't get the sheen of internetness rub off on him as much.
Mhm.
But now all those people are like deeply involved in the campaign. So the same disease that affects shows like The Boys in its latest season and many failed political campaigns before it, the disease of hypercurrentness, the worst cultural disease in America, where it always has to be the latest thing that's on the internet. They're always scrambling to do that. And so all these things that like he would have had proper distance from in 2016, they are now front and center. And the result is, like a nearly 80-year-old man explaining his favorite memes to you. And that is just disgusting to people. People hate that.
Yeah, I wonder if it will work. I honestly, because did the eating shit at the debate, we're not going to know for a while until that plays out in the polls or if that really changed anyone's mind.
Yeah.
But the dogs and cats thing is a real escalation. The assassination thing is a real escalation. Maybe this is just how things go now, is that it's just horrible from now on.
I like that
there's a good chance. Yeah.
the assassins are all so politically incoherent.
Oh my God,
That
Matt,
everyone
it's just
gets to project what they are. So like with this new guy, Ryan Ruth, he's like intensely pro-Ukraine, pro-Palestinian, voted for Trump, supporter of Ramaswamy.
Yeah,
and
Vivek is going to
Tulsi
save
Gabbard.
the Republic.
he was a Vivek, Nikki Haley supporter. He supported Bernie Sanders, Vivek Ramaswamy, Nikki Haley, Beto O'Rourke. Like every
He's an American.
marginal.
He's got
the most
great
singularly American dope
Yeah.
ever born.
He doesn't have concrete worldviews. He responds to memes, gets obsessed with things to the point where he has to kill for them, but is incompetent. And then once it happens, there's like a race to prove that he's a Trump guy or a liberal. So it's like people are like, this guy donated to Act Blue in 2015. I saw someone I know this morning just going on about how this guy's a right winger, a Trump supporter. And then, conservatives are like, he's a pro-Ukraine lib.
Matt, he's I think the only guy of his type where he's pro-Ukraine but thinks COVID was a conspiracy.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've never encountered such a great American.
No, he's the kind of guy that directly asks Bono to be like, we need to do a song that will inspire the world's children for peace. And then he wrote a book about his experiences in Ukraine. By the way, he's also the self-appointed only member of the Taiwan Foreign Legion. So it'll be like, Bono, we need a song featuring the world's children that will bring about world peace. And then in his book about his experiences doing Christ knows what in Ukraine, but it certainly wasn't fighting this war, he's like, yeah, we should start a nuclear war with Russia.
He's a Manchurian undecided voter. Where
Yes. Oh my, yes, Matt.
Yeah.
That is exactly. You show him a deck of cards, and he's like, I think a lot of I think all these. I think the king and the queen, they both have a lot to offer.
Yeah, exactly.
I was joking with some friends the other day that his activation phrase was AUKUS. And that's why Biden was coming around to it so much.
Hassan did point this out. Hassan pointed out this is the sole AUKUS voter in the entire world.
Well, once they're activated, they're like activated by a meme, and they just get in a car and drive to wherever he is and try to get off shots.
Matt, I was talking about this with my sister today, and she brought up something that really made me laugh, where she goes, we have to do something about undecided voters. How many of them tried to kill Trump? Like 20%, 50%? And I was talking about it with her, and it's like, I think what's literally happening is that undecided voters are seeing the phrase undecided voters in the news, and they're like, wait, that's me. Am I running against Trump? Wait, I'll never beat him. I should kill him.
The undecideds are being radicalized.
I mean, it's another like sort of novel feature of the times we're currently living in that, like, that stands apart from like previous eras of American political violence or civil unrest, is that when someone takes a shot at the president or the former president, the first thing you do is desperately search, is he following me on Twitter?
Yes.
Oh my god.
Am I following him on Twitter?
Did
I read
JD Vance?
Well, thankfully, I've been spared that. But before Twitter suspended his account, I mean, the free speech app, sure.
Come on.
But like he left a treasure trove of posts, and just a few of them here. These are a couple of his posts to Sean Penn. This one is in all caps. Sean Penn, at Sean Penn. I am here in Kiev. Let's go get the jets from Poland and the Patriot missile defense systems at the border now. Let's go. And then this is 2 days earlier to Sean Penn, not in all caps. At Sean Penn, you and I must purchase the MiG jets from Poland. I'm in Kiev. I spoke to them. Let's go. Then we need to go borrow the Patriot systems at the border. How can they say no? How can they say no to you? I'm in Independence Square daily. Let's change this war. Is that my MiG in there?
You and I, let's go buy the MiGs and the Patriot Defense System. When the guy with no money says, let's buy wings.
I got 5 on it.
I think this may be the only man in America, besides us, of course, who read Sean Penn's novel, Bob Honey Who Do Stuff.
Yep.
A seminal piece of Trump-era art.
And look at what it's done to his mind.
Yeah. He did not survive contact with Sean Penn's novel.
This is I mean, I would say maybe perhaps a complete list, but of what we know and we're able to find, here is a list of all of the musicians this guy directly added on Twitter, asking them to help out with a Ukraine tribute song. They include Bob Geldof, Jack Johnson, Kings of Leon, Sting, the Dave Matthews Band, Elton John, Bono, Bruno Mars, and Five for Fighting.
Well, he
forgot to message my favorite musician of all time, John Hinckley.
I would like it if, he's deleting all the posts where he asked Dave Grohl for help on the Ukraine song because he's very disappointed. He's very disappointed in what
Dave's got his hands full.
But I was talking to a friend of the show and Blowback host, Brendan James, who should be on the show very shortly. But we were talking about this guy in his Twitter post last night, and Brendan made the joke that like he acts all of these celebrities with the same sort of unnerving enthusiasm that fans of adult film stars will reply to them on Twitter to just be like, when's the DP scene for Brazzers coming out? Please understand, I do not know. He's adding Zelensky, like, where are the MiGs? Let's get these MiGs done right now.
Outside the airbase.
I like the this is a recurring theme with him when he adds musicians, where he's talking about the song that will save the world. The greatest song of all time that will never get made, unfortunately. But he always goes, children of the world should sing the chorus. Which is such like, that is such a like late 80s, early 90s relic of liberalism, where it's like, listen, the most cynical guy in the world cannot deny the voice of children singing.
This is frankly a thing in Europe, though. Like Kids United, which is like a giant global French thing, has like
where they all dress up like
yeah, they all dress up like that guy smoking, drinking a rum and coke.
Serge Gainsbourg.
Serge Gainsbourg. He's just crying in the corner.
You need to do that to Trump.
Yes. Yes.
Confront him with the children.
I mean, I think the most popular accounts in Germany are probably like Baby Pics Daily. I'm not saying it's a sexual thing. I'm just saying they're really into infants through toddlers in that part of the world.
And I mean, I think like the most relevant detail about this guy's life and career is all of the insane Ukraine stuff and how like I can't help but like imagine this rather sad assassination attempt as some kind of blowback from like how much these absolute dopes and lunatics like this guy have been encouraged and like promoted by the government of this country? Because like about a year ago, he was featured in a New York Times profile that
Yes.
treated him like some sort of serious activist, where he was talking about bringing Afghan soldiers from Afghanistan after the American pullout. He wanted to like import them into Ukraine by buying fake passports for them from Pakistan. And then in his tweets, there's a whole saga where he was like, I've tried to give them hundreds of Afghan soldiers willing to fight, but Ukraine just isn't interested. Sorry.
We have Big Boss at home.
Well, he got rejected from their Foreign Legion.
Yeah. He was just like hanging out in Ukraine. And it says, this is the Washington Post article about him. It says here, the blog said that Routh was coordinating international volunteers and had helped send 120 drones to the front lines. Wow. The page had collected pledges totaling 1,865 out of a goal of 2,500, which Schaefer said the posting would go down for paying towards flags, tactical gear, hostel lodging, and other supplies for volunteers. And then it says public records also show Routh, originally from North Carolina, faced federal criminal charges for 2 separate incidents in 2002 for possession of a weapon of mass destruction. And it says he said he pled guilty to that, but like I would like further follow up on that. What does that mean, and why was he?
It was a machine gun.
Okay.
Oh,
Come on. Come on.
Yeah.
We know where the weapons of mass destruction are. They're in and around Ryan Ruth, north, south, east, and west of there.
The yellow cake is in the basement.
I wanted to say something about the Afghan soldiers. Can they have a year off fighting? They've been in wars for like 50 years straight. The life expectancy is like 37, and this guy wants to ship them off to fight another fucking war after they pulled out when the Taliban took over.
Freedom fighters never sleep, Matt.
Get them fake passports and send them to Cabo or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Fucking vacation.
They fucking put in their time, man.
Yeah.
This is going to sound a little crazy, but do you guys think that that leading debate question is what really triggered this guy of like, do you want the Ukrainians to win the war? For me, that's a clear trigger word for this guy.
I mean, it's like the only, it's the only answer Trump gave, and I was like, yeah, good for him for saying. He was like, I want the war to end.
Yes.
So I mean, good for him for that. But I guess that's why he's so dangerous. That this dickhead camped out on a golf course just waiting
for 12 hours.
Yeah.
By the way, does this guy know that you can just go to Mar-a-Lago and buy a membership and get inside and then go meet Trump? And he'll show you documents, do selfies with you. Then you pull out the ratchet.
Yeah. Up it on him. But yeah, like I guess it's like also sort of a stand-in for like how grim the war in Ukraine has gotten, and by I mean grim for the country of Ukraine, unimaginably so, but grim for the like rubbernecking Western supporters of this atrocity. Like this guy's just like he keeps hyping this war, keeps trying to like encourage Bono to start World War III with Russia. He goes there, doesn't even do any fighting, just hangs out and like tries to raise money, and then comes home and he's like, I have to kill Putin's new Hitler, Donald Trump.
Okay,
and then doesn't do it.
I have more respect for that though than the people who are like the other people who were like, rubbernecking it, and then when it became clear that like for like most of the we'll call them weekend warriors, when it became clear that like they probably weren't going to win this war and it was going to be a lot more difficult than they may have imagined in early mid 2022. They, on to the next storyline, right?
Yeah.
For this guy, at least he kind of like stood with his principles and was like, no, I still think this is a struggle for humanity. And I'm going to try to kill the guy I think is responsible for the direction the war is going in.
Yeah. I mean, I see. I wasn't going to hang up that NAFO badge just yet. But I mean, I don't know if he is associated with NAFO, but I mean, he's got more heart than those guys. I'll put it that way. But I think we can all agree that this guy is extremely cool and is likely
spaced.
I can't wait to read his next book.
Yeah.
But yeah, like just every detail about this is just so perfect.
I think at this point, so a lot of the popular liberal conspiracy theory is that Trump arranges for all of these assassinations to happen.
I saw a lot of AI
wildly popular amongst like people I know, my family.
He's like, well, the
friends,
first one didn't work.
just-
Let's try double down. Maybe I'll get some sympathy this time. Yeah.
It's all a photo op. It's all, nothing happens. We don't live in a country with a ton of kooks and guns. It's all arranged by Trump, the mastermind, as we know. And so, but I think at this point, Trump is going to get so upset that he's not getting the poll balance, not getting the sympathy, that he may actually arrange the next one and be like, I need hit. Do it leg only, please. We need blood. And then it will be obvious that it'll be so obvious that he did it.
I'm being shot for the very first time.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, here's the thing, because, like, you know, as we began the show to talk about, like, this bizarre moment where nearly being killed did not just not engender sympathy and support, but in fact quite the opposite. I was wondering, look, the deck has been shuffled 4 or 5 times in this election. What if this is the thing that just upends the table yet again, and it actually does work for Trump? He's back on top. People like him, and he's being romantically linked to Margot Robbie and not Laura Loomer. What if he just becomes a cool player again, and like everyone who just won an Emmy, all the hot Hollywood celebs, they're all linked. They've all been linked and seen canoodling with him. Maybe he will regain the mandate of heaven after this particularly buffoonish attempt on his life.
If he bags Barbie and gets hit with a bullet,
yep,
he wins Pennsylvania and Michigan. Just that's it.
I mean, like, and that's the funny thing. It's like, I also want to talk about, like, his vice president and the continued fallout from the Springfield, Ohio pet shop massacre. Is like, you know, like, obviously, like, as we were talking about with David Roth, this all seems so fucking low rent and stupid. But, like, can anyone say with any certain confidence that this won't work? And here's the thing about my cuz JD Vance, you know, we're neffs from different uncles, me and JD. But so, like, he goes on the Sunday talk shows, and when the host attempt to bring him to task for this, he says, well, you know, he says some version of like, well, the fact that people did believe it shows you how bad the problem is. And he's like, well, look, I'm telling stories that point to a larger issue here. You know, it's like, it's the poster's gambit, the oldest in the book. And I got to say 2 things about this. It's like, one, if you are a fan of this kind of, you know, racist demagoguery, does it inspire confidence when the vessel for it immediately is just like, well, it points to a larger emotional truth? But also, the way in which, like, the news media has glommed onto this to be like, they have crossed the line. They are outright creating blood libels to, like, incite violence against a, you know, endangered population of people for hateful, stupid reasons. They're like, we can all see and agree that this is the worst kind of political rhetoric and it's dangerous, blah, blah, blah. These are all the same assholes that let Biden off the hook when he's like, yeah, I saw the babies. They cut them up.
Yes.
They were eating them. They put them we were eating them in a sandwich, Jack. Like, it's just like months and months and months of, like, not just similar, but in fact, like, categorically even worse and more evil blood libels against Palestinians. That's just all par for the course. But, you know, like, saying this about Haitian people, they're like, okay, he's crossed the line.
Well, and they're still covering it too, as though it's a story, other than just like racist Groyper posts about Haitians. That is now a national news story. Something that I saw on Twitter the other day was that there's literally like a line of cheap robotic cat litters that are actually killing cats that have been drop shipped into the United States en masse.
Wait. Like those, like, the robotic, like cat litter things, so you don't have to, like, clean it out. So cats are going there and just getting mangled by the cheap internal machinery of it.
The cheap sensor sort of screws up when the cat is in the cat litter and when it's not, and then it strangles the cat.
Jesus.
Oh my God.
And so that's actually something that is happening, right? Like, there is like cheap drop shippers who are not taking responsibility for the shitty good that they've brought into the country that has been mass produced and dumped for low cost through Amazon. That is leading to dead cats everywhere. But that's not a news story. So there is something to be said about, like, why they're covering this set of dead cats.
Well, because the president and the vice president are talking about it. I mean, it's insanely vile what they're doing, and they're probably they had to close the school the other day because they're getting bomb threats. And
It's
shit.
horrible.
The only thing that's really, I guess, is different is that they're saying this shit openly and then admitting that they're lying. You want it to blow back on them, but like we're past that era. Like it doesn't matter. Like the emotional truth they're speaking to is just people's delusions that they might not be eating our cats today, but I mean, you get enough Haitians in my town. I mean, I'm worried about my geese.
Well, and
my
this is
ducks.
This is something I was saying to Matt. Is there's no even modicum of left-wingedness in this election, and so all of like the emotional turmoil of what it is to live in America now. What it means to like be squeezed from every angle and be told that your job is going to go away, and is this racial animus, which is getting whipped up by J.D. Vance. J.D. Vance is like the weird nubbin that it's got cut off when the populism window was closed. Like we have no other recourse. We're not offered another recourse other than just hysteria in the public sphere.
Well, and everyone's politics are like Ryan Ruth's, right?
Yes.
Like they're just like people are like, pro Haitian immigrant, anti Chinese because they deployed the bioweapon, COVID, pro Ukraine. Like they're just have schizophrenic political beliefs.
Yeah, I'm a pro chemical environmentalist. Yeah.
So people don't respond to this stuff in the way that they maybe used to.
It may seem like that the only response to this, horrifying racial invective that will probably get people killed is, just kind of pointing at it like Kamala did and going, talk about extreme. It may seem like that, but rest assured, Congress is in session and they are addressing this. There are now 10 bills concerning anti-Semitism at Ivy League universities.
Yeah.
So the real problems are getting taken care of.
Yes. Great.
Felix, I know you saw Richie Torres. Every time I bring up Richie Torres, I have to stress that he is the congressional representative from, if not then certainly the top 5 poorest congressional districts in America.
Per capita income is like slightly over the per capita income in his district is like about half of what the national average is.
Yeah,
over half.
Like, representing the South Bronx. And every time I see him, and he said some new video out today where he's like, I'm urging Congress to like pass like one of like, there's like 9 different bills, like you said, Felix, that are all basically based around the idea of what's known as the IHRA definition of anti-Semitism. And we've spoken about this before, but essentially now that the school year has begun and we're seeing reports from many of these universities are spending the tuition money to purchase things like assault rifles and Pinkerton security consultants to deal with the, political opinions of their fucking students. And the attitude here is that like the university is a free and open place for the exchange of ideas and dialogue, even about controversial political issues, save for this one specific political issue, which everybody cares about and is mad about right now. You can't talk about it. You can't discuss it in any way, shape, or form, or you will literally be arrested or expelled. And then they're like, and like the teeth behind these sort of like these new strictures is based in this fraudulent definition of anti-Semitism, the author of which has since declaimed and said that in no way, shape, or form was it ever meant to be applied in the circumstances in which it is being applied now. But basically what it states is that any critique of Zionism, a political ideology of a nation state, is de facto textbook anti-Semitism.
The people may remember this. This was a controversy inside the Labour Party in the UK. They kind of used this to browbeat Jeremy Corbyn in 2018 and 2017.
Come on, Felix. Remember the mural?
Yeah. Yeah. But there are a lot of like really shitty like Zionist congressional reps. Like famously, the guy who lost his legs and volunteered in the IDF like donkey work division, who isn't even Jewish. Brian
Mast.
Yeah, there are a ton of shitheads, but like Torres might be the most offensive just because of like how little this actually has to do with like the very pressing concerns of people in this district. You know,
And-
most of the like a lot of the worst fucking most insane Zionist reps, they are representing places like, you know, Raytheon Acres or fucking a
like
small
rich districts
underground
in
part.
Long Island and New
Yeah,
Jersey.
a small underground part of the Upper East Side that is a tunnel system that is named after Menachem Begin. And it's like, okay, that's, you guys are into that. But with Torres, it's like, what the fuck?
He's just a cheap seat, right? Like, it would be easy to get him in that seat. He's got the right vibe to get elected, and he's probably cheap to basically bribe to be an attack dog for Israel.
You know who got him in? I love this fact. Sean McElway. He is the Sean
Oh my
McElway project.
God. Crypto.
Nice. So that's what
Yeah.
he's been up to.
Crypto Sean.
Well, Sean did this before the Great Downfall.
Uh-huh.
And there actually is a kind of a weird, people who keep track of political donations did notice some weird patterns of Sean's political giving and that of his firm to Torres, but that's another story for another day.
But I've said this before about Torres, and I think it bears repeating now. Is like I think it's because he represents a district that does not matter that he does that he is the way he is.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like if he had
Yeah.
to actually respond to voters who mattered, he would probably have to at least pretend to be a normal congressman every once in a while, instead of just literally the representative from Tel Aviv who happens to have his office in the South Bronx of New York City.
There's probably
Right,
also not a
yeah.
constituency that's
Yeah.
organized or equipped enough to challenge him with even just a modicum of that AIPAC money.
Yeah.
Americans that are poor enough they're like the pod humans in the Matrix. They are acceptable enough to be replaced by an equivalent amount of voters in Israel who Richie Torres represents.
Yeah. But what I mean is about like this, the fact that like the complete cleaving of like our representatives from like the material reality is of day-to-day life, be it in Springfield, Ohio, or the South Bronx. I think what connects these things and like the racism that these elected representatives are engendering and what they're counting on is this idea that like, and Felix, it speaks to your point about like when the Democrats try to talk about it, they're like, can you believe how bad this is? He's repeating lies that neo-Nazis invented, or just like pointing at it and being like, this is Hitler. Leaving aside, the actual Hitler stuff that our own government is doing in Palestine right now. But the point is, it's like, unless you can speak to this in a way that like, not just like defends the lives and personhood of immigrants, but like speaks to this idea that like, that they have no response to like the pressures and fears that people have in their daily life. And like what you said about how there is like the left and any kind of populism has been drained entirely out of our politics. So what's left is like racism is the way in which people like find a way, because like, look, I saw these responses to like the Haitian immigrant story. And by the way, these are all legal immigrants. These are not illegal immigrants from Haiti. These are legal
They all have
immigrants.
jobs. They're buying,
By all
renting
accounts, are
apartments on
improving
market.
their local economy.
And like, I'm sure like are as good an American citizen or neighbor as anyone would want to have. But the response from like, I don't know, like angry nativist white people is this idea that they're like, these Haitians they're being given the right to healthcare and housing that is the birthright of all Americans. And it's just sort of like, in what country did this happen before we had immigration? And it's this idea that oh, it's these people, like, because everyone looks around and nobody has the things that like would make your life bearable or worth living, or one in which you can hold down a job, raise a family, become a productive, contributing member of our society and a citizen of our democracy. All of that has been steadily drained away from people and communities all over the country. So what we're left is this idea that like, oh, well, obviously all Americans have a right to free healthcare and housing. Well, you look around, the fact that nobody has any of those things must mean that someone else is taking them from us.
Yes.
And the people
then
taking
Kamala,
them from us are not our
yeah.
fucking politicians or, the wealthy. It's these Haitians who are just like coming to this country and working in a factory.
Yeah, and the Democrats have no answer for that, right?
Yeah, none.
So none. They don't want you to bring it up. Like, the most uncomfortable during the debate was when Trump brought up Medicare for all and said, "Oh, you want to give everyone government health insurance?" And she's like, "Oh, no. But JD Vance is the only person who's actually addressing these things, but from like the nightmare realm. He's like he escaped the crystal, and now he's going on stage and saying like, "Yes, I hear your pain." He's doing the Bill Clinton line, but then saying for you to chase your neighbor with a bat.
Well, this is one of the results of not having a primary too. I mean, I'm glad
Yes.
that Biden stepped down, and I don't, I'm fine with Kamala given the other option was Biden, but typically you would actually have a primary where someone from the left would have to raise some issues that the centrist that inevitably won would at least try to incorporate into some of the rhetoric that just hasn't happened this time at all.
Well, and this is a thing that I'm wondering, and maybe it's stupid for me to say, but did they stumble upon a playbook here of just making sure that there are no primaries anymore? That's maybe me being a little paranoid, but like they definitely side-skirted ever having to even toss a nugget to the left wing in your country.
Yeah.
I don't care. I'm a Canadian.
They used to do that. They've only had primaries for like 40 years or so.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm not saying we should go back to the smoke-filled rooms, but it's just a reversion to how they used to do things.
And I think with like the Haitians thing, I think there's like a sense of like when racist people imagine these communities, they're like, oh, they're all doing voodoo and like, sacrificing people and stuff like that. When in reality, they are behaving in a way that is like down the line, everything good that we tell ourselves about the history of this country and our immigrant grandparents is that like they fled dangerous or like unstable circumstances to come to like work in this country, follow the law, start a family.
And they're all Catholics.
They're all religious, family-oriented, hard workers. And the fact that they're being there's always this like pitting the new against the old. But I think when you talk about the old or like the old people are getting so mad about this, it's like I think they recognize some deficit in their own culture and personal lives that they feel is being robbed from them by better, hardworking people.
Well, and one of the reasons that so many Haitians are in Springfield is because they have family ties already. When they get to the U.S., they're like, oh, my uncle is there. My cousin is there. I can go there and I can have families. They don't have a cousin deficit. We have a cousin deficit.
Yeah.
It's just me and JD. We're the only cousins left in America. The only white cousins left in America. But yeah, it's just I don't know. I mean, like I said, I can say with zero confidence that this won't work, and this kind of like openly naked, ugly, racist invective won't work when so many people in this country like feel like their lives are totally out of their control and are looking for someone to blame. And in the absence of like blame being assigned by like a leader who has a moral vision for the lives of people in this country, this is what you're going to get. Whether JD Vance can sell it or not, I don't know. He seems to me, he seems like an embarrassed fascist. Like his portrayal on the Sunday shows was like a guy who like really knows what he's saying is like, he doesn't, he's just like, he feels slightly ashamed of it, but he's still going to try to like play the role. And I don't know if that's forceful enough to work. I think it's the vessel, not the message.
The American media totally ignored this stuff until Donald Trump and I started talking about cat memes. If I have to, create stories so that the American media actually pays attention to the suffering of the American people, then that's what I'm going to do, Dana, because you guys are completely letting Kamala Harris coast.
But it may well work. I don't know.
Ohio is not even in play though, right? They're not doing this to stir up Ohioans to tip the victory to
Ohio's
them. They're already going to win Ohio.
Yeah.
But if you talk to the average American, if you talk to people, I'm from Ohio. If you ever talk to an American, not just a conservative one, especially if you're just around white people will start mouthing off about all types of shit they think poor people get and the benefits of being poor. Liberals do this. I mean, everybody does this really. I mean, they think, because everybody is struggling and pissed off and resentful about their lot in life. And, most people have worked a lot and don't have a ton for it. And there's still a persistent myth that you just live on the dole, you have kids, you get your SNAP benefits, and like, it's fucking good. But, they're not rushing to live like that.
Yeah, it's a sort of projection.
But, I mean, what's contained in laments like that is like a shame at wanting to receive those similar benefits, but also a frustration in the fact of what little help you were given to, like, as I said, have a job, raise a family, be a good person, be a good, productive citizen.
Yeah. I'm from Ohio, so I've just dealt with these people like my whole life, man. I remember like in the early 2000s, you remember all those documentaries that came out on DVDs that were like anti-Bush, anti-corporate shit? That was just like
Loose Change, Four Horsemen.
Yeah, one was like
the corporation.
One was I forget his name, but the guy, he came out with one of them every year. He came out with the anti-Walmart one, and like me and my girlfriend got woke on it, and we're just like ranting about it to everyone, And I remember this discussion with her mom, who was just like this typical centrist Midwestern Ohio white woman, and we were just talking about Walmart, how they vacuumed up small businesses and blah blah blah, and she was getting so defensive and so mad, and then she just blurted out, "I'm so sick of hearing about poor black people." Which was not the topic or ever mentioned in this like 30-minute argument. And it just like, and then of course it was an explosive argument between my girlfriend at the time and her mom. But the point is that there's this like seething resentment for the other underneath the surface of a lot of people because they don't have anywhere to direct their rage, or they don't have anything to channel it into. They don't have class consciousness, and they just develop these just vile ideologies of just hating people that don't even get anything.
Bubble City, the world's first perfect city. Under its envirodome is an island of safety, free of all crime. But outside is the uninhabited zone, an endless slum packed with restless mutants. And there's a storm coming. Freeze! Bubble City Police!
Okay, you're busted.
Well, before we wrap things up for here today, I did want to bring it back around to Justice Warriors, the project that both Matt and Ben are the authors and artists, the creator of an amazing comic series. The second volume of which is will soon to drop this week, or is it already out?
Oh, it came out last week. Came out
last week. Justice
came
Warriors
out on 9/11.
9/11, big day. Smashing into stores on 9/11.
This is a story that I thought like that you would appreciate just in terms of like how much of a Justice Warriors style reality we're living in. Like something that happened here in New York City over the weekend, and I knew we were having you on Monday, so I had to bring this up on the show. But this was something that happened in the subway system of New York over the weekend, in which the NYPD shot 4 people, including a cop, in a hail of bullets fired at someone for jumping a turnstile.
Yes, this is literally the opening scene to the first volume of Justice Warriors.
And it's like there's a guy in the hospital in critical condition, a strap hanger whose head was, quote, grazed by a bullet, which is just like, they started like a hard-boiled John Woo style shootout in the very closed confines of a subway station to stop a guy from evading like a $3 Metro card swipe.
Mm-hmm.
But then, like on top of that, we have the mayor of New York right now, Eric Adams. We haven't checked in with him in a minute, but Bear is checking in on because like he is in Henry Hill mode right now. I mean, he's looking for helicopters everywhere. His police commissioner had his phone seized by the feds. Now the head of the fire department is getting fucking indicted.
Yeah, like
everyone around him is going down. And believe me, like they are not solid. They are telling right now. So I don't know what's going on with Eric Adams, but I had to share this story about Eric Adams' son, who spent 9/11 in the stew. He was in his self-made stew at Gracie Mansion, laying down some tracks.
He lives at Gracie Mansion. Isn't he like 31?
Yes. So this is from the New York Post. NYC Mayor Eric Adams' rapper son spent 9/11 recording music in Gracie Mansion. And I love this, the New York Post, so they're trying to like really stick it to him on this. It says, bereaved families, local and national dignitaries, and first responders gathered in Lower Manhattan last week to mark the 23rd anniversary of the 9/11 terrorist attack. But his honor's son had different plans. Standing in a room drenched in red and blue lighting, Jordan Coleman, the 29-year-old son of Eric Adams, who released his debut rap album last year under the moniker J.O., commemorated the day by recording music inside Gracie Mansion. The mayor's son attended the rapper Jeezy's concert with the radio host OG Money, according to an Instagram post made by the Push Effect on Taste Radio 1 host. And there is a photo from his Instagram feed where it's his back is turned to the camera. There is indeed red and blue lighting, and he has changed a room in Gracie Mansion into a recording studio. And then he just writes over the Instagram post, 9/11 real session.
Nice. He doesn't even remember 9/11.
But yeah, Felix, you're right. He's 29 years old. And he's making beats in Gracie Mansion.
This is 100%. These are plot lines from our comic book. Everything we talked about today is just the past two.
I called it a work of documentary cartooning.
Yes, like double assassination attempts. We called it eating shit at the debate. Pop star mayor son. This is ridiculous.
Yeah, we have 3 assassination attempts in the book. I won't say how many are successful, but there's at least 3 attempts. So soon to be outpaced by this election.
By reality, yeah.
But unless someone tries to carve their face on the sun with a laser, they're not going to top. They're not going to top the book. Though I could see Trump reading it and being like, "We should do
good
that.
ideas." But yeah, like Eric Adams is under pressure right now. His son seems to be really enjoying himself. And what I did like about the tone of that New York Post article is that like they were clearly like being like, oh, he's doing this on 9/11. How disrespectful to the memory of, he's recording rap music on 9/11. But like out of all the things you could attack Eric Adams and his family for, who cares? What the fuck do you expect him to do on 9/11? He had those concert tickets from months ago. Like
it's not even a round number.
Does he have bars? Are they? Is he good?
There's no way he's good.
There's absolutely no way.
No fucking way he's good.
But trust me, I've been fine. Who you fooling? Caught the spicy fit to master lines. You still using 10%. I'm learning how to mastermind.
Bill de Blasio has better bars than fucking Eric Adams' son.
Yeah.
Is he? Is he building with Inspector Deck? Like,
I just think, this is like
building Inspector Deck.
The New York Post is like creating this false precedent where like shitty rappers have to take a day off on 9/11. And that's never been true. We've never enforced that rule. In fact, that's probably the best day to be a shitty rapper.
Or Shannon Sharp, for that matter.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, I want one more update on the Shannon Sharp's audio sex tape release. The best clip to come out of it was when that night he did his podcast with Chad Ochocinco, and he's lamenting. He's like, "Man, on this day of all days, to have this happen to me, this day, man." And you see Chad Ochocinco's agreeing with him, and then like it gets to the end of him talking, he goes, "What day? It's Wednesday." Shout out Shannon Sharp, the absolute goat.
And 9/11 is when we incite pogroms against our neighbors for things that they didn't do. That's literally
deep.
Yeah. That's the reason for the season. All right, gang. Let's wrap it up for today. I want to thank Ben Clarkson and Matt Bors, the virtuoso artists and writers behind the phenomenal comic series Justice Warriors Volume 2. Vote Harder. In stores wherever fine comic books are sold.
Thanks. Yeah.
Links will be available in the show description. That does it for today's show. Till next time, everybody.